Every 6 months until I was 11, I had a surgery. And I ran a marathon 24 hours after getting a new leg. There were no victims. They're just opportunities for you to become victorious. I can either sit there and wait on a disability check, or I can turn that disability into an empowering thing and change the world. If you're broke, you can't have impact. You have to find your purpose, and then money follows. I never chased it. It just follows your purpose.
Hey, James, welcome to the show.
I'm glad to be here, Brother Steve, man.
So
thanks for having me.
Oh, more than welcome, pal. We keep on bumping into each other, down in San Diego, Secret Knock, Prosperity Camp, you're in Gregory's Circle. So, we keep on bumping into each other, but let's talk about that bumping in. Me and you literally met when both of us were speaking at Secret Knock in San Diego, and we met on the staircase. And
that's right.
You're a big lad for a start. You're a power lifter. You're a strong, good-looking boy, and you're a very imposing character. So me and you were conversing at the top of the stairs. You're very friendly and warming, but you're a big-sized guy. I never noticed that you had a prosthetic limb. I never noticed any of that. It wasn't the focus. It wasn't the conversation. And then I heard about it afterwards, what you went through, where you are, what you teach, and basically how you've been able to take what a lot of people would look at as a dark time in their life as a way and a direction to help other people. So run us through, because you're an amazing character, run us through how you got to from the age of 3 to the age of 11, and then what you did with it, which is just impressive.
Dude, this is going to be amazing. And first of all, I like the fact that you copied my look with the longer goatee. I was going to trademark it, but it's gone. All right. But so my first surgery, I was only 90 days old. They had no idea what was wrong with me, just that one side of me wasn't growing fast enough. And so they thought it was a broken leg. So they set it. And then every 6 months until I was 11, I had a surgery. There was never a time where I wasn't going in a hospital, through rehab, out of a hospital, with the idea that one day they would be able to make me walk. I used a walker, I used a cane, I used a wheelchair, but I never walked on my own until they took my leg, and I didn't know it was going to happen. I thought I was just in the hospital. And when they asked me did I want to, I said no. When I woke up, my leg was gone without any explanation.
Damn. You were 11 years old when that happened?
I was. And I was, Steve, this is what was amazing. It was heart-wrenching. You mentioned how it's a gut check sometimes when you go through stuff. Well, imagine I had 2 roommates, one kid named Matt, one named Gilbert. Matt was an 8-year-old white kid with 2-parent family, and he was in an incubator, and he died in the room. They rushed him out of the room trying to save his life, and he died. His parents came and gave us his teddy bears and thanked us for being Matt's friend to his dying day. On the other side of me was a black kid who was paralyzed from the neck down from an accident in the ghetto called Cabrini Green in Chicago. His mom walks in and says, "Baby, I can't do it anymore. It's too much for me. These people are going to take good care of you," and signed over her parental rights and abandoned him. I watched this kid hold his breath, trying to take his life, bite his tongue. It was all he had. And I watched him because they put a mirror on the ceiling so he and I could talk at night because he was paralyzed from the neck down. And this kid wouldn't talk. So I wake up the next day and my leg is gone and nobody told me it was going to happen. So I'm afraid either I'm going to die or that my family has abandoned me. And that is how I entered my 11th birthday.
Hey, I'm sorry for interrupting this podcast. I know it's a brilliant one, but I wanted to talk to you about your room, your connections. Now, we know full well that great things come from great connections and great rooms. Now, if you're in a room full of people that will challenge you, inspire you, motivate you, and support you, then great. But if not, then maybe I have the solution for you. Head on over to stevedsims.com, look up Sims Distillery there, and join our community of creative disruptors, those that are only not there to help you and motivate and actually give you information, but to support and answer questions. We very much vet the room to make sure that we support each other's growth. We all want each other to grow. So if you want to be in the right room, head on over to stevedsims.com/Sims Distillery, and I'll see you inside my room. Enjoy the rest of the show. Jeepers. So, God, you're faced a decision there, and you're faced with the decision that do you become a victim? Do you actually look at this as kind of like, oh my God, woe is me, the world owes me, life owes me?
That's right.
Where were you at this time? I know where you are now, but how were you at 11?
Well, I had been getting hope because my nurse was like, James, you'll be able to do everything every other kid could do. My mom walks in and said she only knew me by my resume. I had only walked in with a walker, used a crutch, used a cane, used a brace. So when the nurse was saying James can do anything, my mom thought she was giving me false hope, slapped me and said, you're a cripple. Do you understand that? And made me admit it. My grandmother heard about what my mom had done. She got on a Greyhound bus, drove from Indiana to Chicago, Illinois. She didn't read well. She didn't write well. But she broke into that hospital, ran down into my room, and she told me, baby, you're still Superman. That's just kryptonite. You got to get your butt up and get going. And because she believed in me until I could believe in myself, that's why I wear that symbol. That's why I carry myself bigger and believe more, because the one woman that could have used excuse for racism and everything else in her lifetime wouldn't do it, and she wouldn't allow me to do it. There were no victims. They're just opportunities for you to become victorious.
So you're very fortunate because of Gran. You decided to get up, get out. When did you suddenly realize you had an obligation to actually be there for others?
Well, it's two-part. I wanted to first prove everybody wrong, but resentment and trying to prove people wrong, you never get the validation that you want. No one will ever have a Perry Mason moment where they're like, oh my God, we were wrong about you.
Yeah.
In fact, people would be like, yeah, I knew you could do it all along, right? But for my aha moment was at 45. I got a prosthetic that allowed me to have energy return, allowed me to run without pain. And I ran a marathon 24 hours after getting a new leg. And so that was my change.
You ran a marathon? I didn't know this.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a 5K. I did. I didn't know how far it was going to be. I wanted to quit several times, but I had my darn kids there, and I had always told them, don't you ever give up. Whatever you start. Now them jokers are showing up. Come on, Dad, don't give up. And I can't get rid of them, so I had to finish the thing.
So how did the whole Superman, because a lot of people know you as Superman is real. In fact, what's your Instagram channel called?
Yeah, Superman is for real.
See? So you've owned it, you've grabbed it, and you don't run around in a cape, but I can see where people can have that similarity. Where did the whole Superman moniker ownership, when did it start?
Man, when my grandmother gave me a T-shirt while in the hospital with Superman on it. And then all of my childhood photos, when you see me, I have a belt buckle on with Superman. My first Velcro wallet had Superman on it. And she just drilled that in my head like, no, baby, you're not a victim. You ain't lose anything. You are more than the sum of your parts. And she told me that I had an obligation to be a symbol of hope to other people. You owe it. You owe me.
Now you've got an incredibly successful YouTube channel.
Yes.
When did you start this? And more importantly, let's start with this. What is it called? Where can people find it?
One leg at a time. No, that's not the name of it. I'm not messing around. It's called Absolute Motivation. And it's the same as the book, but everything is absolute motivation. I started it about 10 years ago, but I started it when I really didn't believe half the stuff I was saying. It was more, theoretical. You're like, hey, one day you can get up and go. It was conversations I was having with myself, trying to get to courage to come out and share with the world my true feelings, my true self, the loss of my limb, to finally wear shorts without sense of shame or embarrassment. And I didn't get there until later, but along the way, my voice was being developed. I was making these videos and I was remaining anonymous by just letting it be my voice without showing my face, because my message, I believed, I just didn't reflect it all fully. And the moment I leaned into this thing, the channel took off. We had about 30,000 people. When I met you, we had 70,000 subscribers. Today, I got 1.5 million, over 10 million views per month. And that has grown like crazy. And so for the first time, I just started showing my face and share my message, and people are contacting me all over as a symbol of hope now.
And you speak quite often. You're a very dynamic speaker. As I say, you spoke of Greg Reed's Secret Knock. How important is it for you to get out there and to get people to realize that there's no victim in this?
Man, listen, in a nation full of weak excuses. I can't make it because I'm black. I can't make it because I lost this, I lost that. I went through a divorce. You don't know where I grew up at. I didn't have a father. And I was like, man, all those things are true of me. So what do I do with it? I can either sit there and wait on a disability check, or I can turn that disability into an empowering thing and change the world. Dude, I cannot live life with this idea that I can't have something because I focus on lack. Man, it's like looking at a penny all the time when you got behind it $100 bill. Get past the penny and see that there's more in life. You're worth more than that damn penny.
So you're doing this now. You've released a book, you've released a YouTube channel, and you want people to understand that they can do something about it. I'm not here to disrespect that, but hey, we all get those dark moments. We all get those moments at midnight where it's kind of like, oh my God, I'm saying this, but shit, why isn't it coming off? Do you get those moments?
Man, not only do I get them, but when they happen, I realize this. The mindset of like, when it's dark, that's a new day though. It can still be dark and it's after midnight. It's already a new day. The stuff that you can't get caught in, they're stuck between this idea like my past and now, because now doesn't exist, only the opportunities for the future. The moment you say the word now, it's already the past. Now it's already gone. Now it's gone. Man, so the idea of if I get stuck in the present, I'm missing out on the gift that is the future. And the only way to get there is if I'm in a dark place, realize that if it's a shadow, there's a sun still shining. You don't see shadows without a sun. You got to be able to find the silver lining in that. If I got nothing else, I still got a breath. And if I got a breath, I got a chance. And if I got a chance, I'll take dominion.
that is beautiful. I love that. So what are you finding the best format to get your message out there is at the moment?
Man, YouTube is really sending tons of people, right? It really opens up a pathway. And that's why I've developed such a message. First, I thought of my niche, I'm going to talk to amputees. But then I realized veterans, and then it was just men. And then there are women. Then there were professionals. Then I realized the message you have is broader than the scope you were looking through. The lens of an amputee is too limiting. And even I had to grow and evolve. And as I grow and evolve, the audience grows with me. I'm more than the sum of my parts. I just had to learn that.
When did you learn that? Because I have heard you speak, and you're right. The amputee element of the speech is a 3-second, front. The whole message of standing up, standing out, being more than the sum of your parts, no excuse. That is such a broader message. When did you realize that what you had was wider to be reached?
Well, let me say this. The conversations that started to take root was remembering all the things that my grandmother had said to me. You see, I didn't realize the gift that it was until she was gone. And the responsibility that she left with me, and this sense of obligation that I owe her to be more. She would always say this to me, Steve, when I was leaving the house. Who do you represent? And then when I was like, I don't know what you mean. She was like, you represent me. When you're outside of this house, show them folks that have taught you something. Don't ever embarrass me. And I feel a debt to that name. I feel a debt to that purpose. She poured everything she was into one kid. And that kid now has a responsibility to empty himself in the lives of others. And so this is my passion. This is my purpose, to go about sharing a hope and a faith and teaching people to overcome something so they can become something.
Damn, this is a hell of a woman. You've got a connection. You're bringing her alive to us now. When did the book come out?
July 28th. And because of the YouTube subscriber volume, when I put it on there, that's how it hit bestseller and international, just because of the volume of people. I never even dreamed of doing that stuff. I was just writing out this love letter back to her and telling principles that she taught to other people. Funny stuff, crazy stuff, learning to throw rocks at cars and forgetting I can't run away. All of those things as well, you know.
So you didn't think of writing a book, but something in you told you to write it. So and I've written a book, and anyone out there knows that writing a book is not something you wake up on a Friday and you put it out on a Monday. It's tough. It takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of planning. So something happened in you that went, it's time. And then you obviously went through to do it. And that takes time in itself. What was the catalyst to make you need to write the book?
I went to there was an abilities expo, and there was a young girl that only thing that worked on her fluidly was her right hand. She was in a wheelchair, spinal cord injury, and they have a rock climbing wall, but it has a pedal that if they turn it, it takes them up the wall. But it takes a lot of energy, especially when you only have that one hand. And she was in the bucket that they have, and she has to churn it. She's churning it, and she gets halfway through and she gives up. And I happen to be down, standing on the ground, and I start cheering for her. I'm cheering, I'm yelling, come on, you can do this. Give me 2 more turns. She'll try it. She looked down again. I said, you got this, keep going. And she keeps going, she's going. And all of a sudden, I got the whole crowd around us to start cheering for her. Finally, she gets there. She gets close enough. She hits the bell. And this girl's like, yes, yeah. And everybody's going crazy because of her excitement. A lady that ran this rock climbing wall comes to me and she said, I got to learn your story. So she started asking me questions. And then she was like, can I record that for you? I'd love to record that. And maybe one day. So the way I wrote my book, man, was simply because of an interviewer who jumped on Zoom and kept recording chapter after chapter and then would translate that into words. And then we edited it. The book came from telling stories. I never really planned it. I just got asked the questions and organically it came out.
Wow. What's next for you?
Man, that's a great question. Steve, I'm experiencing so many firsts in my life, man. You know, I think about this. Last week was the first time I ever put my foot in sand. I never felt that before. Yeah, I never walked in an ocean. I'd only stood on because I was always so going through surgeries and healing open wounds that I used to just sit in a wheelchair and watch everyone do it. And grandma used to say, man, one day, baby, you're going to get out there. Well, last week I was in San Diego with Greg and I was like, man, I wish he were here to see it, you know? And I said, I'm going to do it. So I went out and I'm still experiencing something. So when you asked me what's first, it is still birthing and doing things in my own life and then taking that and helping other people achieve their first, whatever it is, whether it's the first step after an amputation or if it's the first step out, stepping out and launching your business and finding out what you were born for and discovering that purpose. So I'm going to be doing things like developing coaching platform. Just spend some time with Russell Branson talking about doing this click funnels and all this other stuff. So it keeps evolving, man. March, when I met you, I just really started speaking. I was still working in a factory. I quit the factory and I made more since then by sharing my story than I did in the 11 years working in a factory combined.
Yeah.
Finding my purpose, man, it changed everything. And I had to get over that one thing, that stuff where it's you can do your purpose and think you can't get profit. Then I found out Mother Teresa had a darn private plane that she flew around in. I'm like, listen, you don't have to be broke in order to have impact. In fact, if you're broke, you can't have impact. You have to find your purpose, and then money follows. I never chased it. It just follows your purpose.
Now, you're very close to Greg Reed, and I know you mentor amputees. It's been very public that you actually do that. How important is it for you to not only be there to help others, but for you to be in the right room to get this kind of guidance and mentorship from other people?
Oh man, come on, dude. Listen, Steve. Um, you know where I learned the idea that I could do something and coach people from? From a conversation at the top of the stairs when I was at Secret Knot. If I had not heard it from you, that's why I was like, I started watching people who have done this, who have served others, have been there, done that, and they're not inflated with ego or anything. It is what you do. I mean, you really don't care if you hurt people's feelings or not. And that's the great thing about it, because you challenge them to be more so they can serve more. And so when I'm in those rooms, I watch and I was like, I may not be able to do some of those things yet, but the fact that they have, I can. So I watch how they did it. And all I have to do is hear it. And then I'm going out to go do it. And then it puts me in another room. And I end up, so then the next thing I'm traveling, I'm in these rooms. And then I decided to go back. I got to share this with you. I left there, went to Secret Knock, and Greg said something about, hey, I'm writing a book. Anybody wants to be involved with this book, meet me in the back. So I thought, this is free. Let's go do it. So I go in the back room and he's like, 35,000. And I was like, I'm going to eat this pizza and I'm out. I don't have 35,000. But then it dawned on me. Everyone else wants to be an author in his book. What if I took him, the author of the book, with me? So I went and set up I went on Instagram Live and said, is there any mega church, black church, that knows, man, that it's time for us to stop giving our people excuses? You want to bring in experts that give us consult instead of taking opinions? Stop blaming other people for what we haven't done? If that's you, the first one that invites me, I'm bringing some people with me. And so I took Greg with me onto a place so he could speak to people that had never heard of him. So they were opening their doors because they knew of me. I brought wisdom and knowledge with me with him. And then I started grabbing other millionaires and other people that share. And then I put them on tour because the knowledge that you carry, Steve, you've forgotten more than many will ever know. And in conversations, and you gave me a copy of your book, man, and I'm sitting there and that's how it gave me an idea how long to even let the book be. I use you as a blueprint, whether you knew it or not. Coaching for me is my lifeline. I have a statement like, put me in the game, coach. What I mean is like, teach me. I have to grow in order to grow others. The more that I'm learned, the more that I'm around people like you, people with like Kelly or whatever, different things I've learned at different times from different people. And then, and I learn, I glean, I take accountability. And the more I grow, the more I force those who are following me to grow. Even the coach needs a coach. Anyone that thinks that they've arrived is a Dead Sea. Nothing survives in the Dead Sea.
Oh, wow. That's strong. All right. So you got your book. Where's the best place for people to find your book? Let's tell them so they can grab it.
Amazon. You go to Amazon and get absolute motivation. You're going to love it. But watch the channel. You'll see great speakers, great messages, great encouragement there.
Yeah, you got to get over to his YouTube channel. He speaks real. So I've always loved the directness. I'll tell you, boy, I just love seeing you around and feeling your energy And there's very few people that can walk around and go, Superman is for real, and it being so accurate to you. So I want you to carry that. I love that there's no victims here kind of attitude. So keep doing what you're doing, James.
I received that. Steve, let me tell you this, man. Everybody comes on, and sometimes people give you flowers later, but I want to give you a two right here. Thank you for always being authentic, man. And thank you for always making people prove themselves. And as a result of that, your circle, the people around you, are people that you vetted. And I appreciate the privilege it is to be here today.
Cheers, pal. Thank you for stepping up. Look after yourself and keep creating impact.
Will do, my friend.
Well, that was another episode of the Art of Making Things Happen podcast with me, your host, Steve Sims. If you like it, you know the scoop. Subscribe, tell your friends, share it around. Let them get benefit from this juice. And of course, if you want to change the room you're in, join Sims Distillery. Jump over to stevedsims.com/Sims Distillery, or you can find a link directly from that website. That's the room where creative disruptors get together to actually help each other become better. If you've got standards or you want higher standards, join the right room. See you next time.